big and beautiful. The folks at INNOCN are sponsoring this video to check out their new 34-inch 165Hz curved gaming monitor. I've played with a few INNOCN monitors in the past, and I still use their 4K art monitor to get my work done. It's a brand that aims to offer high quality at competitive prices. My current setup is a little funny, keeping that 4K monitor up for video and photo work, the more color accurate display stuff, and then an ultra wide monitor next to it for things like my video editing timeline, for plugins, for effects, and well, to play some games. Behold the INNOCN 34M1R, a 21:9 curved gaming monitor, bringing some tech upgrades to INNOCN's line of gaming gear. Also, bringing a few upgrades to my current setup. One way we can talk about tech improvements is about delivering established features at lower and lower prices every other generation. INNOCN delivers a premium monitor here, and it's priced a bit higher up the food chain. After my experience with their art monitor, a part of this strategy looks to blend gaming features with premium TV features, which I think is pretty clever. A lot of the upfront specs are things we're getting familiar with on ultra-wide gaming monitors. It's a 34-inch diagonal, a resolution of 3440 by 1440. I still think this is fun to see. We're taking skinny phones for granted now at nearly this aspect ratio, but moving to a monitor like this, that can still make a bold impression if you're not used to it. The setup is nice and simple. A huge box arrives on your doorstep, and then you pull this stand out of the styrofoam. Only one piece screws together, and you only need to hand torque from there. And then lifting the panel out of the packaging, it clips into the stand. Nice and easy. Now, INNOCN stand is pretty cool. It's nice and simple, but with a few fun little lifestyle add-ons. We've got the full height, angle, and tilt adjustments. With minimal effort, but it's got a nice sturdy feel. And then a couple of rear pieces. We've got a metal bracket that helps you manage your cables, and then this little fold-out headphone stand on the top. And the base of the stand includes a 15-watt wireless charging pad. Again, like I said, it's clean, and it's an easy base to incorporate on a pretty busy desk. My current setup is so absurdly messy that I opted for a VESA bracket and a monitor arm because I need every square centimeter of desk space that I can get. Back to the monitor. Now, this front face might look a little chunky. This bottom bezel includes two 5-watt speakers and a 10-watt sub. And the audio isn't bad. I think it's fair to consider if a monitor has speakers, it should at least be able to hang with a premium smartphone. Really nice laptop speakers will probably give this a run for its money, but I think they are usable, nice enough until you can maybe step up to something a little better. Now, we also see a healthy collection of ports on the back. A pair of USB 3 pass-through ports, a pair of HDMI ports, an audio out port, DisplayPort 1.4, and a USB-C, which also does support 165 Hz and up to 90-watt power for your laptop. And INNOCN throws in all the cables you'll need to get everything up and running. Ultra wides are a really fun breed where they can overlap on work and play. There's all this space to stretch out and snap multiple windows. All this room for activities. It's kind of silly, but I like laying out my video timeline on this really wide view and then using a more traditional 16:9 monitor for really looking at my edits. Considering the mixed computing environments people might need these days, including KVM and side-by-side support is a very nice consideration. You could have two systems sending to the same screen and you're able to share accessories, and that minimizes the cabling and the mess. I don't use that a whole lot, but for things like breaking in a mini PC for a review, it's nice not having to find more desk space to duplicate all of those accessories. And for all the practical tech here, there are less expensive options that can match a lot of this functionality, but the image quality changes up what I was expecting here. This is a really bright panel. INNOCN rates this HDR 1000, 99% sRGB color coverage, and a 3000:1 contrast ratio, landing that contrast courtesy of the mini LED backlight and 2304 dimming zones. I am not a hardcore laboratory kind of reviewer, but running this through some paces, it's a noticeable improvement over some of the less expensive HDR 400 VA panels that I've played with in the past. It's vibrant, and to my eye, we're in really good shape for high refresh performance, low ghosting. It's something I'm only getting a bit more experience with recently, covering a few more TVs. Because I'm never quite sure how to judge things like viewing angles. A 1500R curve isn't extreme, but it's still an experience that I think is more tailor fit to an individual sitting in the right spot for the monitor to fill their field of view. I think it's less likely this is going to be used at a more extreme angle or shared by multiple viewers, but I suppose that still could be a concern for some folks out there. The viewing angles are very good, even accounting for the curve. I just think it far more likely in real world use that people are going to have more issues with light reflections around their room or their office than the scientific angle at which images degrade in a dark laboratory. And to my previous concern, the matte finish on the Innocent helps here with that too, where I also just try to keep slightly more diffused light in my office. Looking at this and seeing the performance for things like backlight and blooming, I am starting to get a better eye for when I experience that on a display. Here, the LED dimming zones can sometimes have an issue with those extreme contrast tests that we see, those videos peppered all over YouTube. It's a cluster of lights that are trying to click on and off to match irregular borders around really bright objects. With this style of dimming, though, we find a great sweet spot between less expensive gaming monitors and more expensive OLEDs. I just think it's kind of rare that I'm invested in a video of a perfectly black background and a red flower blooming. But if we fire up some high contrast media like the animation in Spider-Verse, I think this looks fantastic. My camera pointing at the screen really can't do this justice. And having used a bunch of other OLED solutions, one of them a portable from Innocon, at a reasonable viewing distance in a dark room, I think folks would have a hard time picking a clear, outright winner. Local dimming goes a long way towards closing that contrast gap, which is why I'm also anxious about pointing a camera at a screen for something like a uniformity test. And we see this a lot in phone reviews too. You throw a dark gray image and you point a camera at the screen in the dark to see the backlighting, and often the camera is boosting the image to a degree that most human eyes would really not be able to detect on their own. Pointing my camera at the screen is not really indicative of what you're going to see as you start firing up media in games. I was very pleased with the performance of this backlighting. Now, a couple small items to mention. This monitor is capable of 10-bit color, if your graphics card supports that, but it's only available at 144 Hz, not the full 165, so I opted to use the monitor mostly at that refresh rate, and the 20 Hz difference for me, that's not a tangible difference in the programs I use or the games I like to play. I also have to point out the OSD. This is a crazy well-featured monitor. But I do not like the little joystick controls or how navigation and confirmation can change directions. Sometimes your menus are up and down, but then controlling the speaker volume has a horizontal meter and then returns you to controls that are up and down, and you just kind of have to brute force your way through memorizing what each control does in each menu. Let's say it's a bit clumsy. But it is a small rock in my shoe to deal with once I have the screen set up and I'm using it on the daily. So, I mean, it's just fun to crack this open and get it mounted and see how it fits in with my workflow. And it helps bridge some of the differences in screen technologies and also helps highlight that there is no one winning solution for monitors. It's kind of like the power meters on the back of a Transformers box. Maybe one person wants OLED. They want OLED contrast, but someone else is concerned about OLED burn-in. I think it's good to have some competition in more premium tiers. Now, MSRP on this thing is a bit spendy, but I regularly see the Innocon on sales. Like, as I produced this video and was editing, it was on Amazon for $650. That's where I find this to be a more competitive option against some of the other solutions that we see in curved gaming monitors. So, I will, of course, leave some links down below on where you can find more information on the INNOCN 34M1R. It's probably going to stay next to my Innocon art monitor on my desk. I don't know, it just feels kind of nice matching the monitor labels on my desk. So another huge thank you to Innocent for sending this my way and letting me take it for an extended test drive. Really get a handle on it, get a feel for it. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. All the support lately has been amazing. If you're hitting my home site, SomeGadgetGuy.com, if you're clicking on links in my video descriptions, or if you're joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon. That's patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is basically the coolest collection of tech pals in the multiverse. So I hope you'll check them out. They're good people. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere. But these days I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons, sharing photos on the Flickrs, a little less so on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and definitely not on the Twitters. And I will catch you all on the next video.